Hey everybody.
Hey y'all.
How y'all doing today? Good. Okay. I'll assume that to be
Not your
good.
answer.
Well, welcome to episode 2 of Healthy Conversations with Marcus.
And Gelisa.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit him with the Carolina Kitchen. Welcome,
Right.
welcome, welcome.
You don't really be doing that no more. Been
Really?
lacking. I
Oh
don't know
my
what's going on with
gosh.
that.
Yeah, that was my spot for a
Sorry,
while. Sorry,
sidebar.
yeah, right. We hungry. And so welcome to episode 2, welcome to Healthy Conversations, first of all, where we talk about everything from health, from wellness to
Mhm.
well-being, how to stay healthy.
Period.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, especially in today's climate. Like, I wanna be healthy, I wanna feel good. I want to make sure I'm balanced in some capacity,
Yeah.
and I think that is what today's conversation is about. The title of this episode is This Life is Mine, because this life is mine.
Yeah.
And despite any hangups that come our way, that whether we invite them or not, this life is mine. And my practices, what I embody and the life that I embody, um, those are my force field, if you will, of my remembrance and my reminding that when I look in that mirror, I see me and I control that.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to stay like, because life is going to like throw its curveballs,
Yeah.
right? Like naturally, like life
Yeah.
is what they say, life be life, and like life is going to naturally life is going to continue to move and shift and
Hmm. Yeah.
change, whether we like it or not, whether we're on board or not, right?
Hmm.
So I think to your point, like it is super important to stay balanced and
Hmm.
to be able to focus on your health and to be able to remind yourself that this life is ours and we get to choose
Yeah.
how we are responding to what life is bringing our way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how you feeling today, Julie?
It's a lot going on and personally in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So I feel weird because it's like I'm in the midst of all of that, I feel super blessed.
Right.
Like I
Right.
feel like kind of what we're talking about today, like I'm deciding and I'm choosing to not like stay, I don't want to say stay down because I don't feel down, but I'm
Mhm.
choosing not to harp or constantly reflect in a negative way on the things that are coming my way that I obviously can't control,
Mhm.
right? I'm choosing to stay in a mindset of
Yeah.
gratitude. So that's kind of how things are going for me. What about you?
I would say things are solid.
Mhm.
Things are solid. The same way I feel blessed. I'm happy to be. I'm healthy.
Mm,
Right. I feel good. So I feel like there is less to complain about there.
yeah.
Like I feel balanced in some regard. But to your point, like that still doesn't take away the fact that life still be life in, and that the world. You ever have that day where you wake up and you look in the mirror, you just feeling yourself that morning.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You like
Mhm,
legit feeling yourself.
mhm.
Like,
Like nothing is gonna put a damper on my mood.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody knows I have a baby and she watches Miss Rachel. Miss Rachel is a song.
Miss
Go-
Rachel got the kids on a chokehold.
She do. She
Like
do.
on a
She do.
chokehold.
She be saving the parents.
Camilla got
TT
the
Rachel.
mix. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a song, it's like, I'm having a good day, I'm gonna have a good day, and
Mhm.
nothing's gonna bring me down today.
I like that.
And I love that affirmation that Camille dances to, that she's hearing in her subconscious, that today is going to be a good day because this life is mine.
Mm.
And in this present moment, I can control that, right? I can control that I'm going to that nothing's going to rain on my parade. I'm not going to allow that to rain on my parade,
Right.
despite what's going on. And so, we all have things that we go through. It's been a long week. I'll say that it has been a long week.
Mhm.
But within this week, what has, I would say, kept me sane the most, that to remind me that all will be well, is that I still woke up every day this week and stay consistent with my practices.
Nice. Nice.
You know,
Nice. I feel like that's a must though.
yeah,
Like you have to. It's
hmm,
again, it's that choosing. Like it's
yeah,
like I choose to have these practices because I'm choosing
yeah.
that I'm going to have a good day. Like
I'm
Miss
going to have a
Rachel.
good day. Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's like the thing that I need, the mental stability. Because we all know what it, like, we know what it feels like to not have these practices. And the practice that I'm talking about, if you guys haven't been following and catching up with us, is my morning prayer, meditation, contemplation, my movement, like just my morning routine
Right.
that sets the tone for my day. And so I know what it feels like to not have them.
Right.
I know what it feels like to go through life and life just like really just beat you up, and or you just really just having a tough time,
Yeah.
and those tough times hurt, and they often set us back, and really they have a direct impact on our emotional health, and we know that because of that impact that has on our when we're not balanced emotionally, what it does to our bodies.
Mhm. It's a direct relation, like the physiological responses to like all of the stress and the things like
Yeah.
talking about shallow breath,
Yes.
increased heart rate, like
Yes.
all the things that we are talking about when we want to focus on these practices that we
Yeah.
have, right? That's why we have the practices to be able to kind of, I know we talked about this before, like taking a
Yeah.
pause, like to have the moment where we are able to take a pause and we're like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm able to notice
Yeah.
these responses in my body. And it's just like, what tools do I have in my tool belt
Yeah.
to help me I don't want to say combat them, but help me to approach them
Mhm.
differently
Yeah.
than I typically would.
Yeah. Because I wrote in I'm writing in our next week's newsletter about that feeling, the feeling of waking up and feeling yourself that day, of feeling good, of seeing yourself in the most purest form in the before the world gets hold of you,
Yeah.
before you step out that room,
Uh-huh.
and wanting to be able to take that feeling with us,
Mm.
to be able to just bottle it up, pour it in my coffee,
Come on now.
take it with me to the minute I step out into that world and I'm faced with whatever comes my way
Yeah.
that I can just pull on.
Mm-hmm.
And a feeling that I we wish we could carry intense moments. Something that we often forget that we have. It's almost like those moments when we face the world, when we face those tense moments, we face that time, it's almost like that morning that moment that you had in the morning where you have that self-assured, self-loving moment was almost non-existent.
Mm.
And I know that feeling of not having, again, going in life and not having these practices and feeling not worthy in some regard.
Yeah, you feel like you're not worthy. You feel like, whoa, it's me. Like it's the world against me.
Mhm.
Like no one else is like I'm the one that has just this big
Yeah.
burden on my back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how that then in part shows up in my mood, how it shows up in my body. One of the things I've talked about, I've quoted this book a lot. Mind if I read a little bit?
Do your thing.
It's this book called The Healing Self by Deepak Chopra. I love this book. Um, and he talks about the whole body system. And within the whole body system, he's basically saying that for a person to be healthy, that they need to be balanced across the board. They need to be balanced emotionally, spiritually, physically. And that is what aligns because you can be physically healthy and emotionally not intact.
That's a word. Okay.
And and
Sorry, that's
you
a
know
word.
and then he says to quote a clever medical axiom, if you want to see what your thoughts were like yesterday, look at your body today. If you want to see what your body will be like tomorrow, look at your thoughts today. That really hits home for me a lot. And it's something that I quote often. And he goes on to say that your body is how you relate to nature. And when that connection frays, you stop being yourself. Many of us have heard that what's in the past is in the past, yet your present state is a result of your past. In many ways, the two are inseparable. We can't change the past, but we can change the present.
That's yeah. Again, going back to what we talked about in the beginning, it's like how we respond or how we approach. So it's like instead of being reactive, we
Yeah,
get to be, I don't want to say proactive, but responsive to
yeah,
what's going on in the present moment.
yeah.
And I think that's the special thing about the practices that we're talking about: prayer, meditation. Y'all know I'm adding journaling, um, yoga or body
Yeah.
movement and things like that, and breath work because that's super important as well.
Mhm.
I think all of those practices help us to be more present,
Yeah.
and I think that helps when we're talking about emotional health, right?
Yes.
Because the more present we are, the less we're focused on the negativity of
Mhm.
what happened prior to. And we find the gratitude
Mhm.
in it. And we're able to show up in gratitude instead of criticism
Yeah.
or judgment and
Mhm.
different things like that.
Yeah. But how did you get there? How do we get there?
How do we get there?
Yeah.
I think
What was your story to getting there?
I think it's a lot of little things, right? But I think when I met
Yeah.
meditation, I had a different outlook on life.
Mhm.
And again, talking about just being more present. So again, I was less focused on because it takes some time.
Yeah.
It's not an overnight thing. But being intentional about having quiet time, stillness,
Mhm.
being able to use reflective points through journaling,
Yeah.
using like journal prompts and different things like that, just trying to understand me as a person,
Mhm.
and reflect on those things which all are of me,
Mhm.
and not judge it.
Yeah.
I think that's where it started, through meditation, and not in through meditation being able to see things for what they are, not a good thing,
Yeah.
not a bad
Mhm.
thing, but a kind of, it is what it is, and being able to remove that judgment little by little,
Yeah.
day by day, because it's a practice I still go through, because some days I'm like, girl, why'd you do that, or why'd you say that, like,
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
But I was talking to somebody yesterday. It was like, it's okay to ask the why,
Mm.
but make sure you're seeking the why.
Mm.
Like trying to figure out, when you're talking about like past experiences
Yeah.
and things like that. I think those past experiences was able to reflect on and just think about, how can I show up better?
Yeah.
It all started with me,
Yeah.
trusting me,
Mhm.
learning me,
Mhm.
talked about worthiness,
Mm.
knowing, being able to get to a place where I just know I'm
Mm.
worthy.
Yeah.
And how do I know I'm worthy?
Yeah.
Well, I woke up this morning, I was afforded the opportunity to try again.
Mm.
I'm worthy to be
Yeah.
here. I'm enough.
Yeah.
I think that's where it started for me, through meditation and self reflection, self awareness.
Yeah.
I think will be my story of how I came to that.
Yeah. And I love that because Deepak talks about the placebo effect and he talked about what self-assurance can do to the mind and the body.
Yeah.
Like the belief that I can heal myself, what that actually does internally to our systems and our organs.
Yeah.
And to the point everybody's like, no, I mean that, so a lot of people are skeptical to that belief. But then he poses in the book a question of if I were to ask you to go with me to a party, and then you go, well, how's the party going to be? Who's at the party and so
Right.
forth, and
Who all gonna be there?
who's all going to be there? My response to that
Mhm.
question can dictate your mood automatically.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So if it can dictate your mood automatically from that perspective, it can equally
Mm.
also dictate your mood from how you see yourself and be yourself.
That's true, because
Yeah.
we all, when you think about it in a framework, people are like, "Oh, what if it goes wrong?" But it's
Yeah.
like, what if it goes
If it
right?
goes right.
It's changing the
It's a
mindset.
self belief.
Mhm.
It's the belief in self, the self assurance, and I think really the self love you have for yourself. Because when at the end of the day, when I wake up wake up in the morning, and I have that feeling that, excuse my language, that I'm the shit that morning, and I can look in the mirror and see the best version of myself before I go out there, and then I go out to the world, and any level of disruption that tries to take that away from me. See, the thing about it is, my grandmother would say, "Keep on living."
Mm.
I've lived enough, through enough tears, through enough turbulence, through enough trials to like just throw those battles. Those battle scars are there, and I made it through.
Mhm.
And it is the reflection of that making it through, but that and who I became because of that,
Yes.
and settling in the belief, firmly in the belief that and those experiences were my foundation,
Mhm.
a foundation in which I stand on today that allows me a stronger foundation, if you will.
Yeah.
But it was through deep reflection and really a lot of prayer and a lot of meditation, honestly, that showed me. I think you mentioned this too, that either good or bad, it showed me my place in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it was whether it was good, whether it was, I had a place in it,
Mm.
and I had a moment there, and it was a reason behind that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, I've been here before.
Yeah,
Like, you can remind yourself, like when
yeah,
you like talk about waking up and be like, I'm the like,
yeah,
I've been here before.
yeah,
Like, I made it through that. And to me, that means I can make it through this.
yeah.
It may not look the same exact way, but I'm able to take the response or the lesson that I learned from the
Hmm.
previous moment that I had
Yeah,
and be like, you know what? You did that.
yeah.
Like, you did that. Like, you showed up and you
Hmm.
did what you had to do to get through that. Was it easy? No. I would almost claim that it's never
Yeah,
easy,
yeah,
right? But I
yeah.
think it takes being intentional.
Hmm.
And I think that again connects back to our emotional health,
Mhm.
being more intentional,
Yeah.
being more present, all helps us to be more grounded and more
Mhm.
balanced,
Yeah.
and to be able
Mhm.
to know and remind ourselves that we are when we wake up in the
Right.
morning,
Yeah.
and to remind ourselves
Yeah.
that we are worthy
Mhm.
and to love ourselves
Mhm.
wholly
Yeah.
no matter what we have going on,
Mhm.
internally or externally
Yeah.
when we show up in the world.
And I think that goes, and we talk about setting intention. We talked about setting intentions last week. I think that is also equally important of setting intention for your life, right?
Hmm.
We talk about when folks come in, set the intention for your practice, but it's us setting the intention for our lives and how we view ourselves
Yeah.
and how we speak to ourselves, what we talk about, what we invite in, what we bring into our lives and our presence and our spirit. And that right there is a direct reflection of what disrupts you too, of what we invite in.
Yeah.
And I wrote about this is that I wrote about this in my newsletter, my first newsletter of the month, on embodiment for the month. We're in March, month of March. I talk about that these practices aren't designed to prevent problems.
Right.
These practices are designed to provide us the clarity needed to fight through them, the
Yeah.
clarity needed to push through them, the clarity needed to advance through them, as ourselves whole, make it through whole at the
Hmm.
end of it. And these practices provide um, the stability, the reminder of what my mother would say: "You are somebody. You are
Yeah.
somebody."
Because I think that's the misconception, right? People think that when you pick up these practices, it's like this cure all,
Yeah.
or this, oh, because I do this, I'm going to receive this thing, or because I do this, I'm going to get to this destination. But I think to your point, it just helps us shift and move through the change and through the journey of life through its natural progression.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Mm.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say out of everything, like you've gotten to this point, and
But what is this point? You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Like
yeah,
it's a journey. Like I feel
yeah,
like it's this thing where we just have to decide every single
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Like you have to look in the mirror
Hmm.
every single morning
Hmm.
and be like Miss Rachel and
Yeah,
say what we
yeah.
gonna have a what? A good day.
Good day today, and nothing's gonna bring me down today.
Gonna bring me down.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's that thing where people like, oh, like that positive psychology and stuff like that. But I think it's just a truth to it. Like,
Hmm.
to your point, when you speak these things and you say these things and you affirm yourself and you affirm how your day is going to be and you affirm how your life is going to be, it helps you when you meet those moments of trial or tribulation,
Hmm.
or even being able to be a blessing to someone else in your life who has that. Maybe it's not a direct trial and tribulation for you, right? But maybe it's someone in your life who has that thing and you're able to show up for them,
Hmm.
and in turn I think naturally you show up for yourself,
Yeah.
because a lot of the times when we're talking to each other, we're going through things, we may not be going through the same exact thing as that person,
Hmm.
but the message remains the same.
Yeah. 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 And and that's what sustains us. And I agree. This is an ongoing journey. I mean, one, we could wake up happy as hell one day, and then the next day you're like, whoa.
Like, what did I do? Like, what's
Right.
right
Can we
now?
can we start this over?
But ain't no do-overs. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And that's the thing about not only waking up in the morning,
Hmm.
but going through life. There are no do-overs. We only get one of these things.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why not be intentional and strive to have a good day every single day? Because we only get one of these. We don't get a do-over.
Hmm.
No matter what comes our way,
Yeah.
no matter trial, tribulation, death, grief, whatever the thing that you want to label it as, ain't no take backsies.
Yeah.
It's one time.
Yeah.
Now we might get an opportunity to try again, to
Hmm.
practice again because another situation comes up,
Yeah.
and that typically tends to happen when we haven't learned our lesson
Hmm.
or received the lesson that we were supposed to receive
Yeah.
or the message that we were supposed to receive, right?
Hopefully we did. Yeah.
We hope a lot,
Yeah.
right? But we don't always, if we're being honest with ourselves, we
Hmm.
don't always receive them.
Yeah.
But when we do receive them, we are able to take that into the next thing.
Yeah.
Again, going back to what you were saying, that armor, taking the things that we've been through, taking that
Mhm.
on as armor,
Yeah.
and being able to show up for battle.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like just show
But
up,
but
and
that's
you're
yeah.
and sorry, I don't mean to cut you off,
Oh,
but that's you being ready.
yeah.
Cause it's not like, oh, could be like, oh, you can never be ready for X, Y, and Z. That is true, but you can prepare yourself to be
Yep.
a little more
Yep.
resilient.
You sure can. This life is mine.
This life is
And I think
mine.
it goes back to that, and that was the purpose behind the title. It was like, because like I'm preparing myself again. Stay ready and I get ready.
Come on.
And for me, staying ready is staying armored with the word of God. It's
Mhm.
staying armored with a contemplative prayer. It's staying
Mhm.
armored with meditation. It's
Mhm.
staying armored and grounding myself in movement and knowing that when I'm strong in my body, when I'm strong in my mind, that I am showing up the strongest version of myself despite what is in front of me.
Right.
So you can't disrupt that.
Mhm.
These battle scars are proof that you can't disrupt that. The lessons learned is proof that you cannot disrupt that. The
Mhm.
fact that I'm even in these practices is because of that. So whatever you have to throw at me is not going to disrupt my spirit.
Mhm.
You
It
know,
might rattle a
it might
little
rattle
bit,
a little bit.
but it ain't gonna do too much shifting, right?
No.
It's like when we talk about and we talk about yoga, the
Yeah.
pose called look, I'm a whole yoga teacher. I'm forgetting the word, but
It's okay.
mountain pose,
Yes.
Tadasana.
Tadasana.
Right?
Yep.
Thank you, Tadasana. And I always say like stand in Tadasana,
Yes.
unmovable, unshakable. And
Mhm.
when you say that, that literally reminds me of that yoga pose.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's something that people, y'all hear me, right? Y'all can tap into that when you're
Mhm.
standing in the mirror in the morning,
Yes.
or you tell yourself, I'm in Tadasana, I'm in mountain pose,
Mhm.
I'm unmovable, I'm
Yeah.
unshakable. Nothing can disrupt the flow of energy that's moving through me, or this positive flow, or this loving flow,
Mhm.
this life force that's flowing through me.
Yeah.
It might rattle me or shake me a little bit. A little pebble might come off my cliff, right? But I'm not moving. Like you can't shake me, you can't move me.
Yeah.
That's what that makes me think of when you say that.
And Deepak literally says, he says, yet nothing is as powerful as building your own belief system, and more important, knowing that everyone's belief system is dynamic and can change on a dime.
Mm,
And so I think it goes back, I think going back to that belief system and that self-assurance, that there is literally nothing more important than the perception in which we have for our lives and ourselves. And that and these practices are a reaffirmation of that.
yeah.
It's a reaffirmation that I'm settling in the belief in the person in which my creator made me to be. I'm settling in the belief in the understanding that I have purpose, that I have a voice that needs to be heard, that I have
Yeah.
thoughts worth sharing,
Yeah.
that my presence comes with laughter, it comes with joy, it comes with belief. It's that reaffirmation that I'm not going to be torn down and I'm not going to be disrupted, because I know who I am.
Mm,
And my
mm.
practices and my consistent practices, my consistent um, 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 staying consistent on that every single day is that reminder for myself.
And it's a reminder to you too that you keep showing up for you.
Yeah.
And I think that like literally goes hand in hand with that self-love and that
Yeah.
self-worth that we were talking about too.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
It just is a reminder that like I love me, and I'm going to continue to love me. And how am I going to show myself that what I'm saying is in alignment with what I'm doing? I'm going to keep focusing on my practice. I'm
Yeah.
going to create boundaries
Mm.
so I can stay emotionally healthy. I'm
Mhm.
going to create I don't want to keep saying boundaries, but
No, I mean, but no,
boundaries, but like
boundaries
that's
are
what it is.
important. That boundaries are important.
To the world. I think
Yeah.
a lot of that is because a lot of times when we are disrupted by things, because we're lacking a little
Yeah.
boundary.
Yeah.
And that allows sometimes people to penetrate through the force field of armor that we're talking about, that we're
Mhm.
building up, of resilience and things like that, and self-love and self-worth. And when you have those boundaries in place, I think is you just end up creating less of that. I'll
Yeah.
just say that. And I think that's so important. And that is directly related to emotional health. And we're talking about the whole health, all of that is
Mm-hmm.
included. These practices, those boundaries, those stress management
Mm-hmm.
techniques, our breath work and different things like that is like that whole, when you're talking about the totality of the whole body system, or the whole
Mm-hmm.
system of being able to heal yourself. I think everything is included in that.
It is. It's that plus, right? We talked about this before. It's the meditation plus the prayer plus the movement plus the setting boundaries, plus the taking time for yourself and setting that pause and remembering that. And I think the thing that you said that has resonated with me more than anything is that midday, even in the midst of it, how do we carry that same feeling that we had in the morning? How do we carry that out into the world with us when we need it the most? And I think it's that
The
pause.
pause. Yeah, yeah, literally the pause.
I really believe that.
I think the pause is so powerful. I know we're ending a little bit, but the
It's okay.
pause is just so powerful because it gives us the opportunity to kind of assess what's going on
Yeah.
in the moment. Again, going back to being present with the pause, you get to see what are my physical responses to
Mhm.
this. Is my breath shallow?
Mhm.
Is my heart rate
Mhm.
increased? Am I getting stiff in the
Mhm.
neck and things like
Yeah.
that? Like but is this from a previous pattern? Is this from trauma
Mhm.
response? Like, what is
Yeah.
this feeling from? The pause allows you to kind of reflect on that quickly
Mhm.
and then being able to hopefully shift and response
Mhm.
differently.
Yes.
So not better,
Mhm.
but just different.
Yeah.
'Cause you did it before, like we talked
Mhm.
about. You've been here before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay, how am I gonna show up today,
Yeah.
right now, in
Yeah.
this moment?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna show up like I did before when I had a bunch of trauma piled up on me, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna show up differently because I deserve to
Mhm.
be happy today.
Mhm.
I deserve and I choose joy today.
Mhm.
And I choose to love myself and I choose to remind myself through the pause that
Mhm.
I'm worthy and that I am more than enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a closer.
That's the close.
I have nothing to add to that. Yeah. Yeah. So Peyton, do we have? Oh, talking to producer Peyton right there.
Not you breaking the fourth wall.
No, Brian, bring it forward. No, no. I was gonna ask if anybody had anything when they wanted to tune in with us and jump in. Any audience out there that want to throw something our way? Come on now.
This Denise. This is my first
Yes.
time hearing y'all, and this is really a good
Love that.
Yeah.
conversation. I really appreciate it. I just want to say, um, I'm a veteran, and we have a meeting like every 4 months. And we just had one 2 weeks ago, and we didn't have one for the New Year. This is our first one, and everybody was talking about all this noise,
Mhm.
listening to the news.
Mhm.
Everybody's
Yep.
conversation was all this noise and
Mhm.
how to shut it down. I couldn't believe we was all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So this is really helpful. I just want to let y'all know. This is
Yes. Thank
good.
you.
Awesome. Glad to be of some help.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah.
I
Thank
have
you.
a question.
Yeah.
So I know you spoke a little bit about like, when you're in the moment, but like, um, can you elaborate just a little bit more? Like, how do you tap in when those stressful moments actually hit?
Mhm.
When that person says the wrong thing, or you got one more time
Mhm.
moments, or like you just feel attacked, like you're in a season that you feel attacked. Like,
Mhm.
how do you tap into those moments?
Yeah.
I think it depends, right? Because it depends on like where we are in a situation. But sometimes you can take the pause or you can choose not to respond in
Yeah.
that moment. I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. Like sometimes we feel like we have to respond to
Mhm.
everything
Yeah.
or everything that somebody says to trigger us or that rubs us the wrong way. And you don't always have to respond in that moment.
Yeah.
You can tell them, you know what, I don't have the capacity to continue with this now. Let's follow up or
Yeah.
something
I'll
like
get
that.
back
I
to you.
think again, I,
Mhm.
that again, that allows the pause. It's like we get again. You talking about this life is mine. Like you get to choose and you get to decide
Yeah.
how you're gonna show up. If they don't want to accept that, that ain't got nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
It's just learning how to get there, right? And it takes practice. Again, it's not an overnight thing. It's constantly saying yes to yourself and saying no to other things that just do not serve you.
Yeah.
If somebody's doing something that you know, because only you know that, right? Only we know what triggers us. I feel like
Yeah.
so being able to be like, you know what, I can't do this right now.
Mhm.
Or just being able to speak up for yourself, I
Yeah.
think is so important. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think we feel or we've been told or we've learned
Mhm.
that we don't have the space
Mhm.
or we shouldn't have the
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
or we weren't allowed to have
Oh
the
yeah.
space.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I think a constant practice of like, no, I create my own space.
Mhm.
I am the space.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I hope that answers it, but that's kind of how
Mhm.
I kind of take things. Like I don't feel the need to respond in the moment all the time or to match people's energy or anything like that. Like, no, if we're talking about I'm gonna have a good day today, sometimes that's me saying I'm not doing this right now.
Yeah.
We can revisit this later.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll get back
Or
to you.
I'm gonna again I don't know the pause. It's just the pause,
Yeah.
or take a moment and be like,
Yeah.
and then decide how you want to respond.
Mhm.
But taking a moment, don't feel like you have to react to everything so quickly. I
Mhm.
think that is where we kind of I don't know, get caught up in things
Yeah.
sometimes. We just feel like we have to be on it all the time and we don't.
We don't
Like
have
that's
to.
just not realistic
Mhm.
and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Did that answer that a little bit?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. I love that. Anybody else? All right. I think.
I do. Come on, one more thing, please, before y'all go though. This life is mine. It's real that y'all talking about this right now because I'm going through this right now.
Yeah.
And after I talk to y'all, I'm going to make a phone call. But what it is that it's like I changed a little bit, and I changed for the better for all the work that I'm doing. But it's hard when people used to you being one way.
Yeah.
And I'm going, and I'm, so I'm pausing, like you said. I'm rated to this conversation to get on the phone to, to make mine, to talk to somebody. But it's hard when you changing and you're feeling good, but they not kind of changing with you.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is normal too, and
That
that
is.
happens a lot.
It does. It does. And I know I've been in those situations, and I realize that conversations sometimes have to be broken out into pieces. Maybe we don't need to have this whole conversation right now. We're going to talk about one thing. And then we're going to talk about the thing that I know that I can control in this moment, because I can't have my life disrupted in this moment. There's so many conversations that I have not had in a while with a lot of people, because I don't want that level of disruption in me. I also know that my practices have gotten me to this place, right? My practices have not gotten me to the place to be able to have that conversation in this moment. So sometimes I just be like, I need to assess myself to say, no, this is not the time for it right now.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to your point of the pause. Pause not just in that moment, but pause to reflect on, do I have the tools needed in order to have this conversation right now?
Mhm.
Do I have the tools needed to go through this storm right now? And right now, no.
Mhm.
I can choose that. I can choose
You
that.
can choose.
I can choose
Mhm.
that, you know?
And we do have to acknowledge that everyone, like you said, is not going to be on the same accord as
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And that's something that only we can only control us. We can't control them, right?
Yeah.
So that's when we go back into that tool belt and like, what tool can I pick up so
Mhm.
I won't pop off on this person
There
right
it
here,
is.
right now?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
literally, that's
Yep.
it. Because we know that to be true. Like we do better, or we're trying to break generational curses. And you think about family members and things like that. Like we're trying not to go down the same path.
Yeah.
And while they might not change, and we decide to change,
Yep.
we have to know that that comes with the territory of change.
Yep.
That
Yep.
everybody not gonna change with us.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
We don't gotta like it, but we have to be able to acknowledge it and be okay with
And
it.
I love you for where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I equally
No judgment
no
too.
judgment. Where
Yeah.
you are, I love you for where you are. And that's okay.
And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning
Yes,
in. I know
thank
we
you
over
so much
time.
for the questions and the
Yes.
comments.
Yeah. See
Thank
y'all next
you.
week, same time.
Peace.
Thank
Peace.
you.
Yes.